So, Joe, here we are. It's a snowy, wintry, cold Saturday, and we decided to take another deep dive into a book that I have written in 2007.
Which, as you can see, is very worn.
Why, Joe? Why
Because
is it worn out?
it's like my night table Bible. It's something I reach for multiple times. Because there's a nugget or a brain tattoo that's in this book that always brings me to a place of your words that I so need to hear. And thus it is used quite often.
Good. So our intention is to utilize this information and most importantly share it with precious people, family and friends, and anyone else who's listening maybe for the first time. But the book obviously is called Is Your Lifestyle Killing You? And How to Chase Dreams Without Sacrificing Your Health and Your Sanity.
And you are Dr. Charles
And
Berg.
I am Dr. Charles Berg. So I want to jump into chapter number 2. And chapter number 2 is called Living an Unconscious Life.
Yes.
So go ahead, Joe.
Well,
Share with me.
I read it over for probably the 100th time, and you start off the chapter where you mention being stuck in the groove of a vinyl record, which some of our younger folks probably don't even know what a vinyl record is, but we want to know, what do you mean by that? What does that mean to you?
Being stuck in the groove of the vinyl record, back in the day when we had vinyl, you would put your little needle on it, and sometimes our vinyls had scratches in it. And what happened was, as the record went round and round, it just never advanced to the next song. So I thought that was a great metaphor, because I don't know about you, I know for myself, but I know that all human beings pretty much live similar lives. And we get stuck in a groove where sometimes we're stuck in a bad relationship. Sometimes we're stuck in a bad job. Sometimes we're just stuck, not knowing really what a sense of purpose is, etc. And I think for all of us, life is too short, so we would really love to get out of that groove and move onto some new music.
Right, and then you also mentioned that so many of us operate on like autopilot. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, so as I've done the work, and I call it the work, and I'm inviting all of you to do the work. Jody, we've had many discussions, and folks, according to the statistics, they say that 3% of us actually do the work. Most of us, like the chapter says, we're living unconsciously. It's not a bad statement, and unconscious does not mean like at a football game where somebody is knocked out. Unconscious is that we are just on an autopilot. For many of us, each day is a carbon copy of the day before. Now, I don't know about anybody else, but to me, that's boring. And yet, based upon the fact that we do have this repetitive nature, it takes consciousness, it takes awareness, it takes us the opportunity to be reflective and say to yourself, Chuck, you're doing the same thing each and every day, and we don't have to.
Yeah, we have to kind of determine whether the choices that we make are life-enhancing or life-depleting.
So great point. So Jody brings up the concept that if we do a good inventory of ourselves, we will see that we do have rituals, habits, events in our lives that we just keep repeating. And the important question, because remember, the quality of your life is the quality of the questions you ask. So Jody, great question. Is the actions and the rituals that I do each and every day, are they enhancing my life? Are they moving me to my true north?
Right, and you also bring up a term called the positive attractor patterns versus the negative attractor patterns. And that, I think, has a lot to do with life enhancing versus life depleting.
Sure, and this also ties in with living an unconscious life. So I learned many years ago an expression that states that we don't see ourselves as we are. Yes, we have a preconceived notion of how we show up, but most of us really do not know how we are manifesting. So what do I mean by that? Positive attractors are people who are living with vitality, joy, a givingness. They live their lives where they are enormously concerned with the we rather than the me.
And often those people are the people that you'll see that are very energetic, that are out there, versus the negative attractor pattern person who's always complaining and who's in a state of constant fatigue. And that you can even see by how they position their body, how depleting that is to ever getting to a place that you call RFG, right for you goals.
Yeah.
And you know, that one leads you there and one pulls you away.
Yeah, so negative attractors, I use words and I actually took some of my own notes of what I put in there, but negative attractors is an energy field, as with positive attractors. We emit, you know, it's been taught, or I've learned through research, that each of us has like an antenna, Joe, you know, that literally comes out. We are both attractors, we are receivers, and we are senders of energy and vitality going forward. Negative attractors are people who are, or the instances of being judgmental. A lot of anger, a lot of hostility, a lot of greed, things that are totally self-serving, resentment and shame. These are negative attractors. Now, I honestly believe that all of us have all of them in us. We have to ask ourselves, where are we dialed into? And this brings us back to the very important statement of how do I show up? So my suggestion for those of you listening, if you have the ability and the willingness to ask a very close friend or family member, knowing that you may hear something that doesn't feel right, but you will have for yourself a discovery of how you're showing up instead of having the illusion of who I am. And in doing so, by having an open and honest and frank conversation, you may learn that you are having some of these negative attractors without even knowing it. And guess what? Voila, the name of the chapter, an unconscious life. So everything in this book, folks, is always leading us to the concern, the issue, and the factor of taking a deep dive within ourselves. It is introspection. Every book that I read on positive psychology, every podcast that I listen to in terms of how do we achieve a healthier, happier state, it all begins with going inside. I have a book behind this camera. I have like 300 books there, but one of them that a good buddy of mine sent me, it was Go Within or Do Without. And that, I think, is really a summarization of what we're trying to say.
And if you're looking to find this book, can you tell our audience where you can find the book?
The book is available in book form, it's available in audio, it's available as an ebook. You can just go on to Amazon and just put in Is Your Lifestyle Killing You by Dr. Charles Berg. It's there, it's available. And you know, I've said to myself, and it's in the book, if nobody more than just my immediate family, friends, and children read this and get some, does my heart very good. That's our intention, the intention to help. I thank you for your time. Thank you, Jode.
Thank you.
I'm going to turn it